What's up everybody, it's AJ with etrailer.com. Today we're going to be checking out this blowout plug from JR Products. What it's going to do, it's going to screw in here to your city water connection. And with the cap removed, I can put an air hose up to this and it's going to pump air through your lines and put out any of that extra water. It's going to push it out, that way it's not there. It's a common thing for winterization of your rig. You're going to blow out all the water out of the lines, put some antifreeze in there, that way none of the pipes freeze over the winter or burst. I would suggest getting the habit of doing it after every long trip. Just get that extra water out, because the longer the water sits there, you got pipes that go like this, the water likes to rest down here in the loop, and you don't get that out of there by just draining the fresh water tank. It'll sit in there and get stagnant after a couple of days, and if it takes any longer, it can get some algae in there and just ruin the pipes. And, I mean, that's the water you're drinking and showering. I don't want it to be there. So it's just good practice to go ahead and blow your lines out. Before you start running air through your lines, there's a couple steps you have to go through to make sure your rig is ready to do that. We're going to walk through that together and go step by step on what you need to do. First step is going to go ahead and find your fresh water tank lever here. Ours is located down there. I'm going to pull this handle and let as much water out as we can. That way there's less in the lines. Just going to go pull this and just watch it drain. That's letting most of the water out. That way when we hook up the compressor, we'll just blow out a little bit of the extra water and we'll be good. Our next step is we're going to go ahead and throw the switch to bypass the water heater. Now why we're doing that is we don't want to pump a bunch of water into the water heater, or if you're getting ready to winterize it, you don't want to pump a bunch of antifreeze into your water heater. So flipping that switch bypasses it and we're good to go. Now ours is down here. Here you can see I flipped that switch up now, and so we're good to move on to the next step. Now we're going to open our valves, because if we're going to pump a bunch of air in through the lines, we don't want to blow up the lines if there's nowhere for the air to go. So we're going to start with the sink. You're probably going to get some water coming out. We'll let that drain. You can see it's already slowing down. And we're going to go through one by one and go through all the valves. So we're going to do the sink in here, sink in the bathroom, we're going to turn on the shower, and even flush the toilet. And with the hot and cold, you go ahead and throw the other one too. Just let all the water out of both lines. Another thing to do, just to be safe before we put air through the lines, is go ahead and step down on the pedal of our toilet here. That way it would release anything else in there before we add air. Now there's two different approaches for this. You can open up all the valves at once and blow out the lines. We're going to do them one by one. So remember, the sink is open. Now we can attach our compressor, which I went ahead and lowered the PSIs to 30. That way there's not too much air going there. We're not going to blow up any lines or anything like that. We want to be safe and careful for that too. I'm actually surprised about how much water is still coming out and that were left over in the lines. We already pulled the tank, drained it all the way down. This just shows you don't want this water just sitting there in your lines. We already went back and closed the valves in our kitchen sink. Now we're going to come here to the bathroom sink and open these up. Looks like not a lot is coming out this time. We got most of it in the kitchen. Next up is the shower. Same as before. Just open up both these valves all the way. And let's see what happens. With the lines all blown out, I'm just going to come back to our fresh water tank and close the valve. So it's that easy to clear out your lines. I suggest just making it a habit to do it every time you come back from one of your adventures. You bought the fitting anyway, you might as well use it. And I noticed when I was using this, I didn't hear any noises, I didn't feel any air coming out. It was nice and airtight. And I think it's going to hold up over time pretty well. This is a pretty durable plastic. Even if I drop this, I don't think I'd worry about it breaking or cracking anywhere. And I like the fact that it has this brass end here with a screw-on cap, much like your car tire or a bike tire. Now I will say I prefer the one from Volterra that's made out of brass, and I'll show you that one side by side here. The brass fitting, this lets me know this is going to hold up no matter what I put it through it. You might not be as clumsy as me, but I'll probably drop it, and I just don't want it to chip or anything like that. So I would recommend this one if you want to go with brass fittings, if that's what you've done with your rig this far. But this one's going to hold up just fine, I think, too. That does it for our look at this blowout plug from JR Products. I hope that helped.